The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. W's products are made in the USA in an FDA inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom made by W, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. W's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code Mr. Tipton33 and save today. W Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton coming at you on a Tuesday. It is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. We're hanging out with you here on the show. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Roku with National Streaming Sports. Shout out to my friends over at National Streaming Sports. You will notice I didn't say X on there. Not too sure what's going on with X, but we are done with broadcasting live over on X. It'll all be basically right now Facebook, YouTube, and the National Streaming Sports platform. I was trying to go live earlier on Instagram. I know that there's other things that I've got to try to figure out when it comes to going live on Instagram, but we'll try to figure that out in a little bit, not right now. Okay, so a few things I wanted to get to in the world of sports that are out there. And one of them was an article that I saw over on ESPN.com. And ESPN.com are now talking about the LA Lakers. Obviously, the Lakers are always going to be one of the focal points in basketball, in sports, especially with this team, because of all of the personalities, I guess for lack of a better term, for all the personalities that are on this team, right? When you got Luka Doncic and everything that surrounds the trade that Luka Doncic had, then you've got to worry about, LeBron James and all the stuff that surrounds LeBron James and everything that's there with the Lakers, right? And yeah, LeBron was hurt, and yes, LeBron is probably going to be back by the time the playoffs start in just a couple of weeks. But the Lakers have been kind of on a backslide, right? Like they had won a whole bunch of games. I want to say it was like 11 out of 12 or 11 out of 13, something like that. Some ridiculous number that the LA Lakers had won. And then once LeBron gets hurt, they fall to now 3-7 in their last 10 games. And obviously that's because the Lakers aren't a great team. Like, you have two great stars with LeBron James and Luka Doncic, but you don't have a full team that surrounds them. So whenever one of those stars goes down, and all you have to do is lean on one person, one of your two great stars to try to get you through, it's just not going to happen. And as I look at the LA Lakers, the way that they are currently constituted, as I look at the LA Lakers, and I see this team again, two massive stars, two huge stars. I guess we're not going to be able to go live on Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. We'll have to worry about you some other time. But you have two massive stars in the LA Lakers, Luka Doncic, LeBron James. That's not enough for me to really think that this is a team that can win a 7-game series against the Nuggets, against the Rockets, especially not against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think is the best team in all of basketball right now, and I don't even think it's close. I don't see the Lakers beating the Golden State Warriors, who with Jimmy Butler has become a phenomenal team. Moving up the ranks here. Started, whenever they made the Jimmy Butler trade, they were out of the play-in game. That's how tough it was for the Golden State Warriors. They were out of the play-in game. Now they're the number 6 seed and just keep moving up. Just keep moving up. I want to get to the standings right here real quick. In the West, you have Oklahoma City, number 1, with a 59-12 record. The Houston Rockets in that number 2 spot, 13 games behind them. 46 wins, 26 losses. Think of that. 13 and a half games that separate the Oklahoma City Thunder, the number 1 seed, from the number 2 seed Houston Rockets. In the East, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, 57 wins, and then the Boston Celtics with 53 wins. A 4-game difference, 4.5-game difference, separating the two teams in the East. Hell, you'd have to go 1 all the way down to 4 to get the level of separation that Oklahoma City has, going 1 from 2 in the West. That's how much better Oklahoma City has been than everyone else. That's how much better Oklahoma City is this season. Right? The pressure's on them now to be the team that wins the championship. Tommy Canazza saying, what's up, Tip? What's up to you, Tommy? Hope that you were doing well, my friend. We were talking about the Lakers. I know you're going to throw some tomatoes at me. I'm ready for it. We were talking about the Lakers, the problems that the Lakers have been having over the last couple of weeks with the LeBron James injury, LeBron not playing, everything falling on Luka. The Lakers are now 3-7 in this time frame, dating back to, I want to say, maybe the game before the game, or 2 games before, whenever LeBron wound up getting hurt. They got as high as the number 2 seed, did the LA Lakers. Now they're free falling down. They're 3 games behind Houston, 2 games behind the Denver Nuggets, tied with the Memphis Grizzlies, 2 games ahead of the Golden State Warriors. There's a real possibility here that if the Clippers even go on a run, that the Lakers can be leapfrogged by Memphis, by Golden State, and by the Clippers, forcing them to fall down to the number 7 seed, having to be in that play-in tournament once again, all because this team is not good enough to win without one of their stars. You need either Luka, or not even either. You need Luka and LeBron on the court at the same time. If they're not there, you see how flawed this team is. They got waxed, absolutely waxed, by the Orlando Magic, the 8th seed in the East. Waxed by the 8th seed in the East. And we can all say the Western Conference, much more difficult to win than the Eastern Conference is in the NBA. The LA Lakers have a problem, like a genuine problem, because LeBron is going to leave eventually. It might not be this year, it might not be next year, but it is going to happen. And they have no depth on the team. Obviously, whenever you're given the golden opportunity to draft or to trade for Luka Doncic, you trade for Luka Doncic. You're building for the future. But if you genuinely thought that the LA Lakers were going to win a championship this year because of that trade, you haven't been watching basketball. You're just going off of the fact that they have star power. And yeah, they're 43 and 28 on the season. It doesn't look like it's that bad. This team cannot win a 7-game series. During the regular season, you can beat anybody any given day of the week, right? Like, again, a 34-win Orlando Magic team just beat a 43-win Los Angeles Lakers team. The sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then. That's what happens in basketball, in these 1-game samples. That's what makes the NCAA tournament so much fun, right? As if it wound up being a 5 or a 7-game series, even if it was a 3-game series in the NCAA tournament, the cream would ultimately rise to the top, and you wouldn't get the upsets the way that you get the upsets now, right? That 1-game sample isn't necessarily enough to say, oh, okay, well, the Lakers, they might be 1-0 in their last game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That means they can take Oklahoma City to the brink. No, they can't. Oklahoma City's going to have the MVP and Shea Gillis. I was going to say Shane Gillis and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They're going to have him as the MVP. They have the best record in the NBA. Obviously, it's 2 games over what Cleveland is, but that 13-game difference, 13.5-game difference between number 1 Oklahoma City Thunder and number 2 Houston Rockets, which, by the way, let's give a little love to the Houston Rockets. My guy Ryan Hollins on the broadcast with the Houston Rockets. The Rockets ahead of schedule on this one. So I guess same thing with Oklahoma City, right? Everyone thought these teams got to take their lumps, but they are doing damn good. In the West, it's Oklahoma City at the number 1, 57 wins. Houston Rockets, number 2, 46 wins. Denver Nuggets, number 3, with 45 wins. The Lakers, number 4, with 43 wins. Tied with Memphis. I guess they hold the tiebreaker over them. They must have beat them head-to-head. Tied with Memphis, 43 wins on the season. Memphis in the number 5 seed. Golden State, 41 wins in the number 6 seed. And then you got the play-in tournament. And right now, the way that it's done, the Dallas Mavericks are the number 11 seed, so they are out. That's just because of tiebreakers with the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix getting a big win yesterday. Shout out to my girl, Patricia Valencia. She got to sing the national anthem in Phoenix yesterday. She had herself a busy-ass weekend, y'all. She came down here to Las Cruces, went over to White Sands, and had herself a time singing at the Baton Death March over there. So she's been doing that for the last couple of years. And then this year, yesterday, as a matter of fact, she gets to sing in front of 17,000 screaming Phoenix Suns fans, and she sings the national anthem, and as always, knocks it out of the damn park. Shout out to you, Patty. You're doing amazing things over there in Phoenix. And if you're in the Phoenix area, make sure you tune into KTAR. That's the radio station she works at. But the Phoenix Suns now at the number 10 seed. Sacramento Kings at the number 9 seed. Minnesota at number 8. And the LA Clippers at number 7. So it would be the Clippers versus the Suns, and then the Kings versus the Timberwolves. If the season were to start today, we still have a couple of weeks before the NBA season, regular season at least, comes to an end. Today we got a couple of games in the NBA that are going to kind of figure some stuff out. Tommy Canazzo throwing tomatoes at me because I mentioned the Dallas Mavericks. It's so strange to me because I'm seeing in real time a team do enough. And like I said yesterday, I don't blame you. I don't blame you if you sit back and you think to yourself, this team has done enough to lose me as a fan. I don't blame you at all for that. Like, they have. Right? Like if the Spurs went out this week and traded Victor Wembanyama, I would not be happy with it. And I sit back and I kind of think to myself, what has Dallas done? Like how far have they fallen? Because they were the number 6 seed in the West. How far this team has fallen and where they can be right now. So San Antonio is right behind them. Portland, right behind them. And you would figure with the next couple of weeks that are remaining that there's a real possibility that the San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers can jump the Dallas Mavericks in the standings, and then that would put Dallas all the way down to the third worst team in the Western Conference. Now, obviously, the Eastern Conference has a lot worse teams. Like San Antonio, I thought would have a shot at getting the number one overall pick. Like, obviously, they're going to be in the lotto, but it's not like their chances of doing anything in the lottery are going to be slim to none. Or at least, winning the lottery is going to be slim to none. In the East, you have 6 teams worse than the San Antonio Spurs, 2 teams worse than the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference. There's a possibility maybe Miami, Chicago, Orlando, Atlanta, they wind up with better seasons than the Dallas Mavericks had following that trade. And then obviously once AD got hurt, you knew the trade was going to be a bust. Once Kyrie Irving got hurt, you knew it's time to just maybe we focus in on next season, what they can do possibly in free agency. But again, what type of like what players are going to want to go to Dallas knowing that ownership is going to be willing to just get rid of you any chance they possibly get? Augustine Pimentel asking me what's going on with the feeds. He sent me a message over on WhatsApp. I wish I had an answer for you, Augustine. I think I'm still banned from X for violating whatever their policies are, which is funny to me because I didn't know that X had any type of policies. News, right? That's absolute news to me that X has any type of guidelines, given some of the things that I've seen on X. So we are only live on Facebook, YouTube. Instagram was having some issues today, so it's Facebook, YouTube, and National Streaming Sports. And honestly, I feel like this is just the way that I'm going to keep doing it from now on. But I need to reply back to Augustine, who felt the need to send me a message in the middle of the show. That's so funny to me that I somehow, some way, I got banned on X. It's hilarious to me. In the Eastern Conference, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers with 57 wins, 14 losses. They are the number one team in the conference right now in the East. Right behind them, though, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, again, I still don't understand how or why the Celtics are not getting the love they deserve. Like they're the defending national champion or the defending champions, and it still feels like no one really has any level of expectation for this team. Like no one is really looking at the Boston Celtics right now and saying, you know what, that team should be winning another championship. The talk is all surrounding the Lakers, all surrounding Cleveland and how great they're doing this year, all surrounding the Golden State Warriors and Jimmy Butler with that story that goes on. Tommy Kanata saying, take it as a badge of honor tip, middle fingers over to Twitter. I kind of agree with you on that, man. I've been Augustine saying that he can't find me over on Instagram. I know this is riveting audio, but I have to send a message to someone in the middle of my show. A longtime supporter, longtime listener. Thank you, Augustine. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you to everyone that tuned in over on Facebook. I think, once again, this is just the way that it's going to be from now on. Facebook, YouTube, National Streaming Sports. I might try to go over to Instagram every now and then. Don't know what the hell was going on with that issue, but hey, it is what it is. I'm trying to get most people to watch over on YouTube. So if we can get more people to go over on YouTube, I think that would be better. Anyway, moving it on, taking it as my badge of honor. Au revoir, X. I also like that's one of the things that bothers me too. Is I used to tell people to slide into my DMs or slide into my Twitter, right? And then now would be slide into my X, and that just feels weird. Antonio Gonzalez Lara saying, I've never commented, but I have to say this, or I have to say I like the show. Congratulations. Thank you, Antonio. I appreciate that. I'm always looking for any type of feedback. So I say something you don't like, jump at me, jump down my throat. I know Tommy Cananza, anytime he says something I say something that he disagrees with, he'll throw some tomatoes at me. So please, let me know how it goes. And thank you once again for the support. I really genuinely appreciate it. So Cleveland, the Cavs leading the division. Obviously, the storylines all surround the Lakers and what's going on with Golden State and Jimmy Butler. And I had to ask this. Antonio Gonzalez Lara saying the Nosferatu thing was hilarious. I think I still have that. Let me see. Can I? Yeah, there it is. Auguste Ferratu. Creeping everybody out since the day he was born in 1812. I know Augustine tells me that he and I are around the same age. I just don't believe that. Like I'm aging like a bruised banana. He's got to be aging somehow worse. But all the storylines surrounding all the different players and individuals in the NBA and all these other people, right? And I sit back and I think to myself, as I see an article on ESPN that there's going to be a Jimmy Butler revenge game. And I have to ask, is there such a thing as a revenge game when you've been on 5 different teams in your career? The Bulls, the Timberwolves, the 76ers, the Miami Heat, and now the Golden State Warriors. Can you genuinely have Augustine asking, what is the YouTube link before you start talking about me? Augustine, I can't send links out right now, guy. I'm in the middle of a show. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Jesus, guy. Woosah. It'll be all right. Woosah. I could have swore he commented on YouTube previously, too. That's the wild thing about it. Anyway, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Yes, please send it. Okay, so, and I asked myself, is there such a thing as a revenge game whenever you've been on 5 different teams, right? And then what does it take? What does it take to have an actual reason for revenge, right? Like, if the team did you wrong, I can see, okay, maybe, right? Like Luka going back to Dallas, that was a revenge game. But the Miami Heat did everything they could to placate to Jimmy Butler. He just didn't want to be there anymore. He was still under contract. He had 2 more years, this year and next year, on his deal. And what he was doing was just acting like a huge turd. If anything, it's a revenge game for the Miami Heat, but they've been so decimated that there's not really a way that they can win this game. And now Jimmy Butler gets to once again reap the benefits here, because I think nobody wants to face Golden State in the playoffs. Nobody wants to face the Warriors, right? Like, you have Steph Curry, you have Draymond Green still out there doing all his crazy stuff. You have Jimmy Butler, who can get to the line, get free throws. He's an okay shooter, right? Like, you now have a guy in Jimmy Butler who said, oh, okay, well, now that I got my way, I'm going to start playing again. And I'm going to start playing hard. And look at how different it is for me now than it was for me back in Miami when I was the number 1 option and all the pressure on what to succeed was on me. This is Steph's team, right? And then we saw the experiment in Miami that was Jimmy Butler as a number 1. And yes, in the bubble, there's always going to be that iconic image of Jimmy in the finals. I want to say it was game 5 or game 6, where he's so exhausted that he's leaning up against the guardrail right before, he has to walk over to the bench during a timeout. That'll be an iconic moment. Someone leaving it out on the court for their team. But that was 5 years ago, whenever it was fresh that he was a Miami Heat. over the last couple of years, the Heat have dealt with Jimmy Butler constantly not wanting to play, constantly not playing hard, all about, making it obvious. And of course, sports, again, I hope I'm not ruining it for anybody out there, but sports is a business. It's all about how many dollars you can get at the end of the day. And I hope that doesn't turn people off to what sports are, but it's just a business. It will always be a business. Jimmy Butler just made the business obvious. And it was the one thing that was up in front all the time was Jimmy's not happy because he wants a contract extension. He's already not worth the $50 million a year you're paying him. Hey, Augustine, joining us here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Welcome to the conversation, Augustine. Agus Ferratu, welcome, welcome, welcome. Jimmy Butler, to me, the dichotomy that surrounds who Jimmy Butler is a very, very underwhelming superstar, right? Like we always look at people like that guy's a superstar, and Jimmy Butler is like at the bottom rung of the level of superstar, right? And then he goes out and he demands all the stuff that it is that he demands, and he's trying to be something basically that he's not. And I have to sit back and think to myself, why is it that players constantly get the benefit of the doubt? Why is it that we can sit back and say, okay, well, Jimmy Butler now being a part of the Golden State Warriors is going to change things for the Golden State Warriors, when I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the case. The Warriors, yes, they benefit from having Jimmy Butler on there. I still don't know if I think that's a team that can win an NBA championship. And it's mainly because what happens whenever things don't go Jimmy Butler's way. And he has his meltdown and he throws his tantrums and he shows us all once again that maybe, just maybe, NBA players and athletes in general are so coddled that they have no idea what real life genuinely is. Augustine saying, by the way, all of UTEP basketball players are in the transfer portal. Really, I got to look into that. I haven't done my due diligence this week. In looking up stuff for UTEP basketball. 4 UTEP basketball starters enter the NCAA transfer portal. That is hilarious. And I think that that's one of the things, and like I'm not going to talk about UTEP right now. I'll talk about that on Saturday. But I think that that's one of the things that hurts the mid-majors more than anything else, right, is the transfer portal. The ability of a player to say, man, I didn't like it here, so let me go over to this area, blah, 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 whatever it is that I got to do. I hope that it's not the 4 starters that are in the commercials that we see here in El Paso all the time. But that's one of the issues that I have. Hey, bud. Go play. That's one of the issues that I have with the transfer portal, right? Like, and Augustine, you're hitting it right in the head. That's exactly where I was going to go, right? Loyalty starts even before college. Jimmy Butler is an example of that. That's why sports are failing. They expect loyalty from the fans, yet the players don't have it, and that's in general. And that kind of goes back to what the conversation was yesterday whenever I was talking about this, like why ratings are falling for the NBA, why ratings are falling for Major League Baseball. And a lot of it is because Augustine saying that was the cutest thing ever. It's my last day with them. I had the last 2 weeks with them, and it was fun. I always hate whenever vacations come to an end, but they go back to school tomorrow, so it'll just be me here alone in the dark with one light shining upon me, all the blemishes showing all over the place, the old age showing itself within my face as I age like a banana. But it's that lack of loyalty, not just from the players, but from the teams themselves, that I think is what's really hurting sports in general, right? Like, again, Whenever a team trades its star player and gets nothing back in return, and they get the backlash that they get now, the whole chance of you go to dinner and you have the crowd in the restaurant chanting to have you fired shows you a different level of alienation against your fan base that you've never had before, right? Then you have the players that are like Aaron Rodgers out there, right? That are constantly just dumping on the team. This team isn't talented enough for me to win a championship, despite the fact we're constantly in the playoffs. We've made it to multiple NFC championship games. We just didn't get over the hump. You had the talent there, but it was mental mistakes by the quarterback that cost you those things. And it seems that there's no level of accountability. Like, we expect accountability amongst ourselves. We expect accountability amongst the players, amongst the teams, against things like that. But it seems like accountability has been one of these things that's been lost, right? And I told you all, the day I started this show, December 29th of 2018, when I started doing this stuff on my own, outside of the podcasting realm, where I said, I'm going to start doing broadcasts, right? The day that I did that, I said the one thing I wanted to do was have accountability. If I say something and I'm wrong, I will admit when I'm wrong. When I say something and you disagree with me, I will open up the area for you to have that discourse back and forth, because I saw back then, especially coming back from ESPN, where it was all just debate, talk, but never mention whenever I'm wrong. I'll always shove it down your throat whenever I'm right, but I'll never mention whenever I'm wrong. And I could not stand that. I am huge on accountability. And yet we don't see that with professional athletes. We're not seeing that with our sports teams, right? Whenever the owner of the Dallas Cowboys comes out and says, we're going all in, and then does absolutely nothing and doesn't get called on it, that to me is part of the issues that I think surround sports and sports in general. Whenever you have the athletes say, oh yeah, no, it's the team's fault, they're not building a good enough team around me, kind of like what Jimmy Butler was doing. I'm not going to play hard until you give me a contract that I haven't earned yet. That's what makes this so difficult to talk about. That's why I'm not on the fence of, or on the side of, Jimmy Butler going to Miami is a revenge game for Jimmy Butler. That team tried. Pat Riley and them boys tried. They had him under contract for another season following this year. They gave him money he didn't deserve. Jimmy Butler is not a $50 million a year player. Whenever you think of players that are making that kind of money, LeBron James, Luka Doncic is going to be in there. Victor Wembanyama is going to be on that list. Is Jimmy Butler a guy that you want to have on that list? Is Jimmy Butler a guy that you can say, that's who I'm going to build my franchise around? And the answer to that is simply no. I feel like an old man, as Tommy's telling me, preach, Mike, preach. I feel like an old man once again screaming into the abyss of, back in my day, this is how it was. And I get that, again, sports is a business. It's all about business. But where is the level of business when it comes to giving the fans a product on the field? To giving the fans something to cheer about? Tommy Canazza saying Jimmy Butler is a douche. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think that that's one of the things is, like, whenever you forced your way out of every single team, remember, this is now his fifth team, forced his way out of Chicago because he didn't like Thibodeau, goes to Minnesota and follows Thibodeau to Minnesota, doesn't like Karl Anthony Towns, doesn't like the way that team is ran, forces his way to Philadelphia. Doesn't like Joel Embiid, forces his way out of Philadelphia, and while he's in Miami, spends the whole time talking about, man, I really wish that I could play with Joel Embiid because Bam Adebayo ain't good enough for me. Man, I think I would look good in purple and gold, insinuating the entirety of the time that he was on the team that he wanted to go to another team. Imagine doing that stuff at your job. Like, Tommy, imagine you're at your place and you say, you know what? I bet I would look good in that other company's colors. My hoochie daddy shorts don't fit me right. I need to go put on some other colors and wear my hoochie daddy shorts over there. And I get it, right? Like I know from my own experience. Augustine saying he looks good in anything. Tommy Gonzalez saying, I bet I would, though. I know you would. I know you would. So would I. But I know from experience, whenever I got hired at iHeartRadio here in El Paso, probably shouldn't have said their name, but screw it, we're down the rabbit hole anyway, that because I worked at KLAQ and I worked at the ESPN affiliate here in El Paso, that I had to kind of walk a different line than other people because I was told, like, don't give out our trade secrets. We know those are your friends over there, so don't give out our trade secrets. Here's a hint. There are no trade secrets in radio. That's why it's dying. Probably shouldn't have said that either. But, and I knew, right? Like, I couldn't be like, oh, well, my friends over there are doing this. Why don't we try something similar but not the same? Because anytime I brought up anything that I did over there or in my past life, right? Like that was always one of my arguments whenever it came down to, well, I just don't trust you to do a sports show this way. And I sat back and I had to think to myself, I worked at national sports radio with ESPN. I think I learned a thing. I know I look dumb as all hell, but I know I learned a little bit. Right? Like there's a little bit there that I can do. Why not listen? Why not at least open the door? Right? But I knew that I couldn't say everything because it would be looked at as like, oh, okay, well, now this guy thinks that other place is better than us. And it wouldn't be a great work relationship. Maybe I should have said it anyway because I didn't have a great work relationship there. At least not with, well, you know what? I can't even say with most people. It was only with like 3 people, maybe, that I didn't have a good work relationship with. I say that because I know, like, if you go into your workplace and you say, oh, this other place is better, this other place is better, this other place is better, dude, why don't you just leave and go there then? Right? Like, it's easier for us. We're not under contracts. At least most of us aren't. At least I'm not. I'm not important enough to have to sign a contract. But if you keep saying it and you keep saying it and you go out as public as possible, oh, they do everything better at that place. Well, eventually your employer is going to get tired of you saying that nonsense and they're going to get rid of you. And you're going to have the audacity to be like, oh, no, they slighted me. They came after me. How? Just genuinely, how? USA. We'll be all right. It is a tipping point with my Tipton. Remember, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Roku via National Streaming Sports. Shout out to Augustine, who's over on the tube now. Tippy's on the tube. All right. So yesterday we go over the AFC West, and I didn't really get to go over everything in the AFC West, but I don't think things are going to change necessarily in the AFC West. So now today, we are going to be going over the NFC West. And there's been a ton of movement with things in the NFC West. And we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Like who has Arizona brought in to try to make themselves better? Now, I've been making fun of them the whole time, right? Been like, oh, man, this team, no matter what they do, they're going to be bad. There's always those teams, like, no matter what they do, they're going to be bad. Like Detroit, they're going to come back to where we've always known them to be and just be horrid for another 2 decades, and then maybe, just maybe, make a playoff sometime within that time frame, right? Arizona is one of those teams, but they've been very active in free agency. They only re-signed 2 of their players, which was wide receiver Zay Jones and then their left tackle Kelvin Beachum. They go out and they sign from Philadelphia Josh Sweat. They give him a 4-year, $76 million deal. And that's a great pass rusher that they get in that division. And we saw, well, before I get there, we'll go over some more of the signings. They go out and they get defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson from the Cleveland Browns. That might help them out, helping out the defensive line, right? They go on, they get quarterback Jacoby Brissett. That's going to be backing up Kyler Murray, the 4'2" quarterback phenom that they have over in Arizona. They get some linebackers, Akeem Davis Gaither. They got him from the Cincinnati Bengals on a $10 million contract. They go out and get some more defensive line help with LJ Collier. They go out and help out the defense even more with Michael Walker. They get Simi Fehoko, who used to be a Dallas Cowboy. They go out and help out their offensive line, getting Royce Newman as well. And then Jalen Jones, a safety to help out the defense. Augustine saying, how crazy would the NFL get if there was no salary cap? If there was no salary cap in the NFL, again, I've said it a million times, the salary cap simply exists to protect Jerry Jones from himself, because he would do anything possible to right now win a championship. Tommy Canazzo doing the flex with Simi. I miss Simi. He's one of them dudes. Like, it's just a great name to say for one, but you can tell, like, whenever they would do like the things with the Cowboys, like, he was a dog, man. Like, I miss him. There's certain Dallas Cowboys players that I just miss. I just miss having on the team. Tyler Biadasz is going to be one of them. Those guys, you can tell he's a dog, right? Like, he's a dog. That's what you want. Tommy's saying if there was no salary cap, the Cowboys would be 17-time champs by now. Oh, 100%. Like, Jerry, like, again, the salary cap is to save Jerry Jones from himself. Imagine what Jerry Jones would spend to get a championship caliber team. And I get it, right? Like, you have other owners that might have a little more money than Jerry Jones, like in Denver, where you have the Walton family that owns all of the Walmarts out there that might put in some money to be a part of it as well. But the Dallas Cowboys salary, I assure you, every year would be in like the $500 million range. Augustine saying, no, JJ would be making the decisions, LOL. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, in 2012, I want to say that was one season where the salary cap lapsed. So there wasn't a salary cap. It's either 2012, 2011, 2013, one of those weird seasons, right? Where there wasn't a salary cap. But if you had gone out and signed players to a long-term deal, then it would go against whatever the cap for the next season was going to be. And it would hurt your team if you had just gone out and signed all of the big free agents. Augustine is saying the Cowboys are not Real Madrid. You're right, they're not. They're more valuable. Tommy Cananza saying the irony is Jerry brought the cap to the NFL. Exactly, man. And I think that was the reason why, right? Like, at the time, they were like, oh, man, this oil guy's coming in here. We got to save all ourselves from him. There we go. And that's exactly what Tommy was saying, that there was a penalty, right? And it was going to come back and hurt you if you just went out and spent a ton of money, because the next season the salary cap was going to come back. And we've seen the salary cap just inflate. I genuinely believe if there was no penalties, right, like no long-term issues, even if the NFL had something like a luxury tax, like Major League Baseball and the NBA have, and people don't realize this about Major League Baseball, they don't have a salary cap, but they have what's called the Steve Cohen rule, which is awesome, that you make enough money that there's a rule to basically keep you from spending all of your money. And it's, if you spend X amount of money, then you got to start giving back to the lower market teams that don't have as much as you do, right? Now, I can talk about that. Like, salary cap stuff always gets me going. Like, I'm so intrigued by the salary cap and how things work with those types of stuff. Thank you, Augustine. I like that question. Thank you, Augustine. But I look at the Arizona Cardinals and I think to myself, okay, They're drafting number 16, right? Like they're not great. They weren't bad. It was just meh. And right now they have Jihad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama, as the guy that is going to do a daily like radio show. Is there any way that I can make sure that y'all do not call me from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m.? Because I'm in the middle of my show right now. And I know this was a VA call, so I was like, okay, I need to this. No worries. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye. Oh, one day, guys. I swear to God, one day. So I'll get back to the draft stuff and all that in just a little bit. I've been doing all these appointments with the VA, and I try to tell them, look, there's a window of time to call me, right? They called me on Sunday to verify that I was going to do a video appointment today. They called me yesterday to verify that I was going to do the same video appointment today. And then for whatever reason, they call me today to verify that I'm going to do the same damn video call today at 11 o'clock that I'm going to do that I've already verified that I was going to do 4 separate times. For the love of God, stop calling me. I don't know, I think it's just us, right? Like the people of a certain age where I would much rather you text me than call me. Like there's certain people that I'll answer whenever they call me. Augustine, you're one of them. Thank you. Hawk Scott, he's one of them as well. That no matter what, Walter Alvarez, no matter what they do, whenever they call me, I will answer the phone unless like I am super busy or in the middle of an appointment. But Jesus effing Christ, do you have to call me that many times? I've already verified. I got an email today that said, click this if you're going to go. And I saw it before I did the show and I said, of course I'm going to be there. I clicked it. There's no need for you to call me after that. And the thing is, and I don't know her name, I don't know who she was, and it's not a fault of her, but if you're going to call somebody, if you're going to be on the phone with somebody, perhaps you shouldn't speak like this. And if you are going to speak like this, it's because you must be on some sort of quaalude. Like genuinely. Usa. Tommy asking, how does Agus Ferratu have your number and I don't? I think what that was is whenever I was working at 600, they made Augustine seem as though he was like an important person and they gave him my number. And I'm like, oh, okay. But if you want Tommy, I will send you my number. You can text me all kinds of memes and funny stuff like that. I was also thinking of creating a phone line where like people can just call in with random ass thoughts, like a Google line where people can call in with random ass thoughts and I can play those things on the show. But we'll see. We'll see how we go with that. And I get it. Like they're doing their job. I shouldn't be mad, but Jesus effing Christ, you don't need to call me that many damn times. And like, again, if you're going to talk to someone, don't talk so damn slow. Oh, okay. I'm all right. I'll be okay. getting back to what we were talking about here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton before I had to take that phone call, which made me seem like a total unprofessional. Thank you. What's up? The Rams or the Cardinals are projected right now to draft Jihad Campbell. I don't think it matters necessarily who the Cardinals draft. Now, again, I think the NFC West is wide open. I don't have faith in San Francisco now. I don't have faith in the Arizona Cardinals. Like, no matter what they do, unless they win multiple championships, I won't be able to say I have faith in this team. Like, I flatly won't. You look at what the Rams have done, the free agents that they've brought in. They go out and they get Devontae Adams. They get Poona Ford, the defensive tackle from the Los Angeles Chargers, which I think is a huge, huge signing. They go out and they get Coleman Shelton, the center guard from Chicago. They re-sign their cornerback Witherspoon. They re-sign Laurel Murchison, their defensive tackle. They go out and get Nathan Landman, an inside linebacker from the Falcons, and they re-sign Ronnie Rivers as well, their running back. Not a huge signing as far as running backs go, but we've seen it any given season. A running back can come back and be absolutely fantastic. The Rams are drafting at number 26 right now. They are projected to get Josh Connerly Jr. to help out from the offensive line. I like that. You guys already know me. If you have a playoff contending team, which I think the Rams are, I think the Rams are still the best in their division. When you have a playoff contending team, offensive line help is going to be more than enough to get you over the hump. I do think Devontae Adams a slight step over Cooper Kupp, who the Rams lost. And then we can look at all the players they lost. Along with Cooper Kupp, they lost defensive tackle Bobby Brown. He ain't going to hurt nobody. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong song. I got to think of like some New Edition songs. Oh, well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. I blame it on the rain, but that's Milli Vanilli. Why can't I think of any? Well, the only one I can think of is Ain't No Humping Around. So maybe Bobby Brown is going to be humping around in Carolina now. They lose Michael Hotek, the outside linebacker. He goes to Buffalo. They lose DeMarcus Robinson to their in-division rival with the San Francisco 49ers. Christian Rosenboom, they lose him to Carolina as well. Hunter Long, Neville Gallimore, Jake Hummel, Rashad Weaver, and Tyler Johnson. They all lose those players. But looking at who they signed, I feel like those losses aren't huge losses. I feel like the signings are much better signings for them. Good for them. They didn't get rid of Matt Stafford, even though they asked him to go look for a trade. They didn't get rid of him. I wonder what that relationship is going to be like moving forward. But it just doesn't seem like the division is really like it's too hard for them to get. I think they're the best team in the division right now, the LA Rams. It's going to be interesting. There we go. There, I know. I don't know what it was. Like I went blank. I just completely went blank. My bad. My apologies. Mea culpa. I was like, holy hell, how could I not think of anything from New Edition? I know Bobby Brown. How can I not think of anything from New Edition? I guess I just had humping around in my mind. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so the other team, right? The other team that made a whole bunch of moves here was the Seattle Seahawks. And I thought this was a team that's going to be in rebuild mode. I still don't know what to expect from this team, right? Like you get rid of Geno Smith and you go out and you bring in Sam Darnold. Spider-Man meme. I don't see maybe Sam Darnold because he's younger. Maybe you can have him a bit longer. You're hoping that he just has something, right? Like maybe that's what it is. Like there might be something there. Like it wasn't just the talent that surrounded him in Minnesota. Maybe he can be something, but I feel like it's a lateral move. Geno Smith to Sam Darnold, a lateral move. Cooper Kupp you bring in to replace, which I can't believe these are words coming out of my mouth, but you bring in Cooper Kupp to replace DK Metcalf. Huge step back. Huge, enormous step back. You spent $32 million on DeMarcus Lawrence. Yes, it's a team-friendly contract, only $18 million of it guaranteed, which means $14 million of it is based off of performance, right? But DeMarcus Lawrence, I think as a Dallas Cowboys fan, we can be removed from saying this. I think he underachieved in Dallas. I genuinely do, given the talent he had. Like, sure, he had a couple of really good seasons, but it does kind of feel like DeMarcus Lawrence just underachieved in Dallas. You go out and you get Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Josh Jones, Cody White, Shamar Jean Charles, River Craycraft, which, I guess, Eric Siebert, and then DeAnthony Bell rounding out the picks that they have there. But again, you lost Draymond Jones, Roy Robertson Harris, Lekin Tomlinson, Trey Brown, Stone Forsythe, Artie Burns, Farrell Brown. That's okay. Those aren't huge losses. But you lost DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett retires, and then you get rid of Geno Smith as well. I don't see how this team is better, and it feels like they're worse. Tommy Cananza saying they're trying to rebuild while giving fans hope so they don't completely check out. I guess that's what it's about, right? Like we're just gonna give you all hope, and maybe, just maybe, something good can happen here? Question mark. And then comes Tommy Cananza saying DeMarcus Lawrence was a dog in Dallas. Injuries just caught up with him. He was a second-round pick. I say he overachieved. I can see that, right? Like, but it feels like if you're going to be the highest-paid defensive guy on the team, which he was for so long, that you need more. And it always felt like he was a step away from getting a sack. Now, granted, the pressures he created changes the game, changes the outset, but it's all about sacks, right? Phrasing. It's all about sacks. How big are your sacks? How timely are your sacks? And I feel like from that standpoint, you know what? You're right. Second round pick, maybe overachieved. Maybe I'm just being a hating ass hater. Maybe that's what it is. But a team that lost a lot, the San Francisco 49ers. They lose guard Aaron Banks. He goes over to Green Bay. Travarius Ward, the outstanding cornerback they have, over to Indianapolis. Javon Hargrave over to Minnesota. Jalen Moore over to Kansas City. They lose Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw over to the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos doing a great job over on defense. They lose Leonard Floyd. They lose Malik Collins. They lose Joshua Dobbs, not a huge one. They lose Isaac Yiadom, not a big one. Elijah Mitchell, I think that's going to help, or that's going to be a big one maybe. Charlie Heck, Brandon Allen, Nick McLeod, Rocky Yassin, Eric Subert, and then Demetrius Flanagan Fowles they lose. While signing, again, a whole bunch of people. They signed Luke Farrell, Demarcus Robinson. They re-signed Kyle Juszczyk after releasing him, which was weird. They go out and they get Mac Jones. They get Jason Pinnock. They get Kevin Givens, Luke Gifford, Trey Brown, Richie Grant, John Weeks, Ciron Neal. They also lost Deebo Samuel. And it seems like they're just it's a weird time if I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan, because it feels like that team has just given up on the season. I think the best team in the NFC West is going to be the LA Rams. Seattle might be second, but that's also like saying I'm the second best looking ugly person. Arizona will probably be third, and I think this is going to be the worst season in recent memory for San Francisco 49ers fans. Tommy Canazza saying sacks aren't always the point. Don't always paint the correct picture. He was a pressure machine. He was outstanding against the run for years. I agree with that 100%. DeMarcus Lawrence, like I said, maybe I'm just being a hating ass hater. And then, yes, Rocky Yassin is an awesome name for an NFL player. It really is. All right, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow. What better way to end than on the name Rocky Yassin? We'll see y'all tomorrow. There's betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%.